This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. Thanks so much for joining us. I know you're sitting there and you're doing your around the world journey. Build your library, Torchlight. You've already emailed Ariel for the combo. You've done everything. You're addicted to the YouTube channels. You're binge watching at late at night eating ice cream. We see you commenters. But you're sitting there going, when are Ariel and Matt going to get off their patucases and finish the Africa guide? Well, we have finished the Africa guide.
We did it, guys.
We did it. We finally went through all the African countries and put everything together, the additional books, the media, the documentaries, the games, the recipes, all to supplement your Build Your Library and Torchlight Around the World Journey compilation. So we're here to support you with the resource guide. Ariel, give them the stats.
So this resource guide has got 163 books, 8 movies, 88 documentaries, 434 videos, 2 games, and 62 recipes for the continent of Africa.
Very good.
So you mentioned Torchlight and Build Your Library, which is the way that I think the majority of folks are going to use this resource guide. But if you just want to put together your own little unit study about, one country, you want to do something on Morocco and you need to find books and you need to find recipes and things, this is a great way for you to do that too. One of the things that I really think about these guides, if you have looked at our North America and South America guides, those are kind of like, I feel like those are like the beta versions of this. Yeah. But Asia and Africa and Europe are really what we want to put out. We will eventually go back and do North America and South America again to kind of bring them up to this new level, this new standard.
It's one of those things where we're like, you start a project and you don't really know where you're going with it. Well, you kind of have some idea. And then as you get through it, it evolves and changes. Yes. And I think with Europe and Asia and now Africa, I think this is what we wanted it to be. So if you have downloaded the North America and South America, it was really good, but we're going to make it even better coming
Right. Up. We will be going back around. But I think what's really cool about this one, the books are great. I think that having other book recommendations is wonderful because maybe you can't find whatever is called out in the curriculum at your local library, and so you want some other ideas. I think that's great. We're a foodie family. We love having recipes. I think the thing, though, about these guides, which is the most impactful, is the videos. So when I read out those stats of like how many documentaries there are, some of those are documentaries you're going to have to go onto a streaming service to get, and we give you links for all streaming documentaries and movies and things, like where can you find it streaming, so you don't have to get it from your library. If it's on Prime or if it's on the Roku channel or whatever, we give you that information so you can find it. But a lot of these documentaries are just on YouTube, and all of these videos are from YouTube, and you have done just an amazing job curating these videos. I
love it. Let the praise
yes.
keep coming.
let the love flow through you. Yeah. I think that is the shining star of these resource guides. These are worth the price of admission just for
the curation.
The curation of those videos. And I can't wait to do this again with our daughters when our youngest is 5.
We're getting geared up. We've talked about this.
Right. Our youngest will be 5 in about a year and a half. And then we're going to be looking to go back into this and go around the world again, although we may truncate a little bit. But I'm looking forward to these videos most because you have learned such an incredible amount about all these different countries through these great videos. Sometimes it's really challenging, especially how challenging it is to find videos about some of these different countries that have had some really adult issues happen, right? We have some really challenging...
How do you find fun educational videos when searching on, for educational purposes about Rwanda? We all know what happened. We're all children of the 80s and 90s. We know what happened there. And so in some of these areas, they are overwhelmingly dominated by conflict. And one of the hard parts is to go in and weed through and say, okay, we understand they're having troubles and even ongoing troubles. Like I thought, like every time I got to a new country, I said, this is the one. And it's like, nope, that wasn't the one. That didn't have conflict, and it's hard because then you go, okay, well, I understand they have issues, but tell me about the natural beauty of the country. Tell me about
the culture of the people. I feel like these conflicts sometimes overshadow the beauty of the culture of the people, their food, their traditions, what their lives are like in general. And all we see is all this negative stuff. And And these conflicts are real. And of course, when our kids are older, we want to teach them about this. Why did this happen? And
but in the guides, we
stayed away from this. Is for younger learners.
The only one where we left in, because I thought it was really good, educational, and it was necessary, is the South Africa. So talking about apartheid and things like that. So we kept. I put in a number of documentaries and a number of videos that were kind of at a child's level, kind of, you know, who's Nelson Mandela, what was apartheid, things of that nature.
Which I think is important.
Where it wasn't too heavy and everything. And so I've tried to stay away from things that are super heavy.
Or just super hard for them to understand. Nothing graphic. Nothing for that a child who's in early elementary couldn't understand. We feel like some of this stuff is so these wars and conflicts and things. You know, when I think about something like Rwanda, for example, I only think about those negative things. And the videos you found were wonderful, and they just showed such a bright and vibrant culture. And that's kind of the message we want to be giving to our kids. And when they're old enough that we can talk to them about all these other issues, then we can. But I think that those videos and those documentaries and things, that was the best part of this, because it really can give our kids a visual sense. Our children are incredibly audio-visual driven, and they really get a lot out of videos.
Well, and where I also left in a slightly, you know, more heavier subject, but, you know, I think very, very necessary, was kind of the West African slave trade. So where
there were pieces of that,
where there were pieces of that were carefully done, not too graphic. Obviously, for a 6-year-old, we wouldn't want to show too much, but talking about the struggles of colonialism and things of that nature, it was always hard to parse things out that were appropriate. Like, how do you talk about King Leopold and the Congo and not talk about 10 million people dead? How do you approach that in a friendly manner? So some things we left out, like in that type of content, because it's so graphic and it's so disturbing that I don't think like a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old could handle that, you know, visually. You know, you could talk about it and say, hey, something really bad happened here a long time ago, and these people are still suffering from that, and there's a lot of knock-on effects that go through time and history. So it's hard to talk about some of those conflicts. So maybe I left some of them out, but like the West African one, because we have such a history with that, you know, from Nigeria to, you know, even Liberia, where it's, you know, kind of founded by slaves that went back to Africa. Or if you're talking about like Togo and Benin, where there's a lot of the heavy slave trade coming out of that. Or even if you're like, you go to the Gambia, right? So I found, Alex, I think Huxley, you know, his famous book, The Roots, right? He traced his lineage back to the Gambia. So I actually found a couple of videos on that very book, because it has a big tie to American history and things of that nature. So those are the type of things that I try to, you know, very topical, but also kid friendly, so you can explain it. So if you're thinking about like, well, what are these videos talking about? I really, really, really made an effort to kind of think about a couple of things. Show the people today in the manner that, you know, you'll see a common theme through a lot of these videos. I found a really nice YouTube channel of a young gentleman who's been going around the world to every single country, and he went all through Africa, and he did a really good job at like meeting people, showing you through the towns, showing you the culture and the people, and it was
what
really
their lives
fun.
Are like.
Yeah, in a very not benign but engaging way, right? And really focusing on the day in the life. I did that. If the history was very topical, like especially with the United States and things of that nature, I put that in there as well, but made sure it was kid friendly for the most part. I'm not saying that something maybe didn't slip through or whatnot, but I do try to make sure the language isn't in there, because you know, last thing you want is some nasty language coming through or anything like that. And then focusing on animals, the culture, a little bit of history,
geography. There's a beautiful Google Earth. There's a beautiful Google Earth channels kind of that take a look at the rivers and the forests and the Sahara and these beautiful areas. So I know you really tried to lean into that too. So we're trying to kind of show, I think it's this four-pronged approach. Yeah. It's culture, it's geography, it's animals and that, and then the pieces of history and politics that we can show that would be appropriate for kids of that age. So this is, you know, doing our best,
Yep.
but I think that you're going to find a lot of value in this.
I took a lot of care with it. Like
You did. It took us months and months. When did we start working on this? Like December.
Yeah, because when we got the Asia one out in September, I think we took a month or so off, and then we started putting it together.
Yeah.
And I knew going into this region, because of the history and a lot of the trouble that has come with it, through colonialism and slavery and racism and all that stuff, it was going to be challenging because it's got this. In almost every nation that I hit has conflict, right?
Right, or had conflict
this coup,
recently.
or even recently, or this issue or whatnot. And I knew it was going to be very difficult, or this famine or this thing. And I knew there was going to be a lot of difficulty trying to find the videos. It wasn't. What's sad to say is that it's not well served on the YouTube. If you're a YouTube creator out there wanting to go around and make really good educational videos for kids, there's a niche here.
Yeah, there's a gap.
There's a gap.
Because one thing we really want our kids to get with this around the world study is we want them to have an appreciation for people all around the world and a real curiosity and want to discover when our kids get older that they want to go and visit these countries. They want to learn about other people. They empathize with others and try to see life from their point of view and all that stuff. And I think if you get just mired down in conflict and things, then you miss all the culture about this country.
Yeah. And so that was, I think, exactly well put. And just trying to find the empathy and the human touch is, I think, the biggest thing. So a lot of good care went into it. Took a little bit longer.
But we think you're going to be really happy with the result.
I think you will. I think the videos, there are some unbelievable nature documentaries out there. And
my gosh.
You're going to learn so much. I didn't realize how geologically active Africa is. I mean, almost every country through the eastern side all the way down has volcanic activity everywhere. It's amazing. And then you have the wonderful rainforests, and the right up north is the Sahara, and the sub-Saharan area down, like Botswana and South Africa, just beautiful, open grasslands and wonderful safari country, and the big animals. Obviously the big animals is the cool one. So there's a ton here. I hope you guys enjoy it. Took a lot of time. We're moving on to Oceania, which will, I think, take a little bit less time to do because there's just not as many countries.
Right. And we're motivated because we're getting ready to start Ancients, and we have a whole lot of stuff we want to put together for that.
Oh, yes, we have some
for
good
Ancient
ideas.
Civilization. So we've got to get through this, and we're going to. So this is offered on our Gumroad page. As always, we offer it at pay what you want. We don't want this to be cost prohibitive for any family. That's part of our mission statement. We really want homeschooling to be accessible for everybody.
We appreciate all the comments of all the people who said, very carefully and delicately, where's the Africa guide?
Yes, just wondering, not meaning to pry, but were you planning to do Africa? I love it all. Thank you guys so much. And for those of you that
you lit a fire under our butts, and we got moving.
For those of you that do that can't afford to support and pay for the guides, we appreciate you, and that money helps to keep funding this little humble podcast and YouTube channel. And we promise we're going to just keep putting out more content and more resources and things to help you and your families on your homeschooling journey. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!